Hi, I'm Carrie, and this is Sandra Sisterhood, a YouTube channel for the single and childless, not by choice person. Our video today is a practical tip on coping related to being childless, not by choice, and or single. So today is a journaling prompt. Those of you who follow my content know I'd like to use journaling as a way to help clarify thoughts and also to help release some of those feelings and thoughts that many of us who are on this journey really kind of hold inside. And one of the reasons that I think we do this is because we can feel very isolated in our grief related to being childless, not by choice. It can feel like others don't understand. It can feel like others don't see it. And it can feel like even when people do try and support us around this loss, people don't typically know how to do that. So for some people along this path, we tend to hold it in because we're not sure how people are going to respond. So journaling can be a really cathartic way to help release some of that and get some of it out. So if you don't own a journal, I would suggest doing that. Go out and pick one that would be motivated for you to write in. Buy that pen that would be motivating for you to use. If you like pretty things, make it pretty. If you want it to be a little darker and edgy, get something darker and edgy. Now, on to our journaling prompt. So what I want you to do is I want you to write, how would you support a friend or somebody you love who is childless, not by choice? If you're single and childless, not by choice, I want you to write about that. Then what I want you to do is, what would you say to that friend? What would you do together with that friend? How would you comfort this friend? I don't want you to think about it. I want you to just write. And force yourself to write a little bit longer than what feels comfortable to you. So if you feel like you're able to answer that question after 3 minutes, I want you to stretch and force yourself to continue to write for an extra minute or two. This allows us to kind of get what's in the back of our brain up into the forefront. Again, continue to write. Then what I want you to do is I want you to write, how do you support yourself when you're experiencing grief and loss or difficult feelings related to being childless, not by choice, and or single and childless, not by choice? Then I want you to write about, what do you feel about that? About being single and childless, not by choice. Then how do you feel about having those feelings? Then I want you to journal about that. Then I want you to think, and I want you to ask yourself and journal, what do you tell yourself that it means that you have those thoughts and you have those feelings? When you sit and feel those feelings, what do you tell yourself when you're experiencing that? This I do want you to think about. I do want you to spend some time thinking on this piece. Then I want you to think about, how do you respond to yourself when you start to have those feelings or you start to have those thoughts? So how do you feel about how you're feeling? And then what are the thoughts that you have about how you're feeling? And then what do you tell yourself that means? Then I want you to think about, how do you comfort yourself when you're experiencing grief and loss? And this can look a lot of different ways. I want you to be really honest in this. How do you comfort yourself? Do you comfort yourself? There's something that you do when you're experiencing that. And what is that? I want you to write it down. For some of us, it may be a little more negative, but write it down anyway. Again, I want you to continue to write. If you feel like you're done in 10 minutes, I want you to take an extra 2 minutes and continue to write. Continue to think and continue to write. 2 minutes is a really long time when you're writing. So the idea, though, is I want you to extend it out beyond your comfort level. Okay? Now, After you feel like you have thoroughly journaled about those two things, how do you support a friend, or how would you support a friend? And how do you support yourself? Then I want you to reread both entries. I want you to identify what is alike in those entries and what is different in those entries. Then I want you to think about and spend some additional time journaling about how can you make those entries align more together. If there are stark differences between how you cope and how you support yourself with how you support that friend, how can you get those things to match more? Journal about that. Let me know how it goes in the comments below. This can be kind of a heavy one. So if you need to have some supports on standby, if you need to take a break from it and come back to it, that's okay too. You do what's right for you and what's best for you. Follow Sandra Sisterhood and subscribe for more content related to those who are single and childless, not by choice.